In this video, we're going to be looking at the different studio lights that I've used over time. I'm going to talk to you about the lights that I started off with, what I upgraded to, what I'm actually using now, what I'm going to be buying in the future, and I'm also going to give you some recommendations of the type of lights you would probably want to buy now, which should hopefully give you all of the flexibility and all of the options that you would actually want from a studio light. Now, I say studio light, but what I really mean by that is flash strobe lights, and these can come in various shapes and sizes, as you know, and they're not necessarily confined to the studio, especially not now where we have many lights which have portable battery solutions. Now, when I first started off as a photographer, I was doing weddings, and when I needed studio-based lighting, when I was shooting portraits of the bride and the groom with a black background or a white background, and I was wanting to light them, I actually started off using normal little speed lights, but I found they were quite limiting very quickly, especially due to the fact that you had to keep putting in AA batteries and all sorts of rubbish. So I decided I need to start using mains powered lights, and this was one of the first lights that I actually used. It's the Bowens Gemini 400 kit, and this was a 3-light kit, but it wasn't my kit. I was actually borrowing this from a friend of mine who was also a photographer. I was renting this from him every time I needed it for a job, and I was giving him about 50 or 60 quid every time I needed the light, and he was giving it to me because he knew me well, and he was quite cool with that. So I couldn't afford to buy this kit because it was still expensive at that time. And this was the Gemini kit. It's a Bowens mount. They don't make these anymore because obviously, as you know, Bowens actually went out of business, but it was a fantastic kit, and it was something that I used for at least 2 years, constantly renting it out. And then when I had enough money to buy my own kit, I didn't actually go with the Bowens, I went with Elinchrom. Now, I was introduced to Elinchrom through a photographer, well, online, by watching a photographer called Frank Dorhoff. He's a photographer that I admired massively back then, and I still love his work. And he was using these Elinchrom lights, but in particular, he was using Elinchrom modifiers, such as this guy here, which is the Deep Octa. And it was a light modifier that he was using in his shoots, creating beautiful quality of light, fantastic images. And I thought, you know, I want that light modifier. Naturally, I went with Elinchrom at that time, and this was the kit that I bought. It was a 3-light kit. It's the Elinchrom BRX 500 kit, and I can't say enough good things about this light. I used it professionally, day in, day out, for years. Never ever failed to beat. I had 3 of these guys, and then later on, when I started doing more fashion and portrait, I added 2 more lights, but they were the 250s, so slightly less power. So you had 500 watt seconds of power, loads of power to do pretty much anything that you wanted. It was robust, it was solid, a great light. And again, I bought a 3-light kit because that's kind of what most photographers will do. They'll buy a 3-light kit, so you've got a main, a fill, you could have a kicker or a rim. And I use this light for it. Now, it did have limitations, obviously. It's obviously big, it's heavy, and I wouldn't even consider buying a light like this now, or like this old light, or any light which doesn't have the option to go totally portable. Now, granted, the Bowens was quite ahead of its time because it did have the options to go battery powered if you had a big heavy pack that you would take with you. The Elinchrom didn't have that option. Well, this light didn't anyway. And I went and bought this light, and this is the Godox AD 600B, right? Now, what's fantastic about this light is it is battery powered. You don't need any mains power. And this is key in today's shooting environment, in today's photography. You need to be 100% portable. You don't want to be relying on mains power or plugs or anything. You want to be able to take your light anywhere, be it in the middle of a street, in a remote area, in the forest, or whatever it is, and you want to be able to shoot and have power. And this all-in-one unit, man, I've been using this now for a few years. Absolute solid workhorse. You know, you can look at these lights, you say, are these pro lights? Well, if you use a light day in, day out for your profession and you make money from it and it doesn't fail, it's a pro light. And, you know, this light paid for itself after about a couple of shoots. So I've got 3 of these guys as well. These are the AD 600s. and they are absolutely fantastic. Plenty of power, more than you would generally need on most shoots. And like I said, I've got 3 of these, and this is what I'm using right now. So I've got these guys, but I don't always need to take such a big light with me. I don't always need as much power as this. And in those occasions, I'll be taking this guy. This is the AD200, okay? So again, it's a Godox light. It has its own little battery that pops in here. Super small, super lightweight. Gives out almost like 4 or 5 times the power of a normal little flash speed light. And again, it's super portable. And the value for money. This is the mad thing, right? You can buy other lights like Profoto, the B1s and so forth, and they basically have a battery solution just like this, all in one unit. But the price is almost 3 or 4 times as much. And you have to ask yourself, obviously it depends on what you're doing and the clients that you're working with and whether gear or brand of gear is essential. You have to ask yourself, can you justify that cost? Are you getting 4 or 5 times as much quality or functionality from, say, like a Profoto light? I could buy 3 of these lights for 1 of those. It's just a no-brainer, right? And these AD200s are also super cheap. So the current lighting setup that I'm using are 3 of these guys, and I've got 3 of these guys as well. Now, I don't always use all of them all at once, obviously. Sometimes I just take these because it's just enough. It's more than enough. My general lighting kit is 1 AD600 and 2 AD200. And I take those on pretty much most of my shoots. If you've watched my behind the scenes videos, you'll have seen me using the AD600 and the AD200s all of the time. Go-to, right? Now, what am I thinking of in the future, and why am I thinking of buying more lights? Well, the Elinchrom lights I just don't use anymore. I've got them, they're in the studio, I just put them away, okay? They are like backup lights. Now I'm wanting to add more lights to this kit because of the new studio that's going to be open soon. And that's going to be a bigger space. We're going to have multiple lighting setups, and it's just going to allow us not to have to keep moving one light from one setup over to, like, from, for example, from the infinity wall over to where we're shooting and on the other side with canvas backgrounds, or over in the other corner where I'd like to have different light setups and gear that's over there, and you really don't have to move things around. So what am I going to add to this? Am I going to add more AD600s, more 200s? Well, Godox have released the AD300. It's a very small unit. It's probably about as big as this. It's a bit lighter, in fact, and it's got loads of power. It uses a slightly different mount. All of these guys, well, the Godox, they all use the Bowens mount, right? Which is kind of like a very universal mount. In any modifier that you buy, you can find a Bowens adapter for it if it's not already a native Bowens mount. With it being in the studio, I'm thinking of actually getting another 3 AD600s. Now, what's wonderful about this light is not only do you have this battery, right? So you can take it outside, but you can also buy another section. It's just like the battery, but it has a mains attachment, which means you can actually use this with the mains. If you don't want to use the battery, you're saving the battery for later on, and you want to actually use it on, I'm looking down there because I've actually got a plug down there, and you want to use mains in the studio, you can do that. For me, I hate having wires everywhere. I just don't have them. I just use the batteries because they last forever, and then at the end of the day or the next day, I'll stick them all on charge, let them all charge up, and they'll be ready for the next day. So I like to go in the studio, no wires, keep everything off the floor where possible, and just keep it all nice and neat and fully portable, right? So if you are thinking about starting out in photography, or if you're ready to invest in lighting, listen, forget the old Bowens lights, forget Elinchrom lights, forget Profoto, they're way too expensive. Broncolor is most likely going to be out of your range. Man, hit up Godox, or like I said, I think they're called Flashpoint in the UK, I don't know. Go with these lights. They are excellent value for money. They're so easy to use. There's many different Godox modifiers, but if you've already got some, you know, you can adapt them. So for example, let's check out one of my most favorite modifiers, the Elinchrom Deep Octa. This is an Elinchrom mount, obviously, because it's a Deep Octa. And I've added this guy, which is an Elinchrom to Bowens adapter, right? What does that mean? It means I can use this and every single one of my Elinchrom modifiers, which is the large Octa, the strip box, and any other ones that I have, the Beauty Dish, Maxi Spotlight. I can use any of those guys on my Godox lights because I've got the Elinchrom to Bowens adapter. Cheap, Amazon, $6. So I would suggest go with these battery powered lights. Forget lights which only connect to the mains. They are limiting. You want to be portable. You want to be able to take them anywhere, whenever you need. Battery powered is the way forward. Godox is cheap based on what you get. Excellent value for money. And I've actually had no problems with the quality, the robustness and the reliability of these lights. I'm not sponsored by Godox. I'm just telling you how it is because I only review and talk about gear that I've used extensively for a considerable period of time. You'll never hear me talking about equipment or reviewing equipment. I might give my first impressions, and I will be giving my first impressions in the next video about this little guy. This is the Nanlite PavoTube 2 6C. These are brilliant little lights, and I've been using them for a few weeks. I've got 4 of these guys, and I'm going to actually do a video on them. It's not going to be much of a review. It's going to be my early impressions, and I'm going to show you how cool they are because they're RGB. Totally going off on a tangent. But yeah, go with battery powered lights. These are great. Godox are fantastic. If you can't budget for that, AD200, mate, what a brilliant light. You get different heads. I've got the soft circular head. I don't know what it's actually called. Anyway, it's like a spotlight, and it's better than the bare bulb for me because what I can actually do is use it as a feature light in the actual shoot, and it's a little bit more controllable. You don't lose any power really. It's a great little light. So the AD200, if you can't afford any of the 600s, go with these guys. They're cheap and they're great value for money. So that's it. Be aware, everything happens over a period of time. I could not afford a lot of equipment when I first started out. I just didn't have the money. I would rent lenses, as I said, borrow, you know, I would buy gear, I would use it, and then I would sell it to buy more gear, and so on and so forth. And over a period of time, I've added to the kit. But if you're just starting out, you want to be going for value for money. And in my opinion, there is no better value for money than these Godox lights. That's it from me. Hopefully you found this video useful. I know I've waffled on a little bit and it's been a while since I made a video. If you've got any questions, you got any opinions, you know where to leave that. What are you actually using yourself? Are you using Godox, Profoto, etc, etc? It'd be good to hear what your experiences are as well. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up. If you like today's content and you've not subscribed, you know what to do, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I will hopefully see you in the next video.